I think this is a generation that will be an outstanding generation. They have so much they want to give back to society, and the reason that he's volunteering are much higher than the reason that I had. I was addicted to adrenaline when I was 15 years old. He's addicted to the compassion.
Welcome to What Came After. I'm your host, Manya Marcus. On What Came After, we'll take a look at the many ways people's lives have changed since the brutal massacre in Israel on October 7th, 2023. We'll be speaking to people around the world to learn how this profound moment in Jewish and global history continues to shift, shape, and change them. To learn more, please visit us at whatcameafter.com. Okay, it is September 17th, 2025, and I'm really, really honored to be here at the offices of American Friends of Magen David Adom and joined by this really incredible guest, Raphael Herbst. Raphael, I would love it if you could introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing so far from home.
So first of all, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Raphael. I'm a paramedic at Magen David Adom. I've been at the organization ever since I was 15 years old. I grew up with an uncle who was a medic in the Israeli Defense Force, and we heard so many stories that he saved many lives, especially during the Yom Kippur War. We always had visitors knocking at my grandmother's home, and they all came to thank him. He never told us anything, but we saw people limping without a leg or a hand that he saved in the battlefield coming to thank him. I grew up on my uncle and looked up to him the whole time, and I couldn't wait to become a medic myself. And in Israel, either you wait till you're 18 years old to join the army, or you can start volunteering at Magen David Adom, which is Israel's national EMS services. I fell in love. It's in my blood ever since.
Can you tell us what Magen David Adom does, how it functions in Israeli society?
So we'll go back in history. 1929, there were riots in Israel, and a lot of Jews were massacred. Keren was one of the famous ones. It was also in Tzfat and in Jerusalem and all over the country. There were riots against the Jews. And then the Jews realized that the Jews have to take care of themselves. And then at 1930, because of that, just like there is the Red Cross initiated the Red Shield of David, which in Hebrew is Magen David Adom, and the abbreviation MADA. The first branch was in Tel Aviv at 1930. And then every city had its own Magen David Adom branch. And when Magen David Adom was 18 years old, in Hebrew we say Chai Shanim. 18 and Chai means life.
Mm-hmm.
The state of Israel was established at 1948. And then in 1950, the Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, initiated the law that Magen David Adom should be Israel's national EMS and blood services. By law, Magen David Adom has a few roles. So the first role of Magen David Adom, if anybody should need any medical care outside the hospital, we send our teams and transport them to the right place. Usually it's the hospitals. It can also be clinics. The second role were Israel's national blood services. So all the blood collection and processing and delivery to the hospital is done by Magen David Adom. We're also an auxiliary for the Israeli Defense Force in times of disaster, just like an earthquake, or human-made, just like a war and escalation. And there might be a lot of population that might need medical support. So we help the Israeli Defense Force by sending ambulances and medical teams wherever needed inside the state of Israel. We don't go to the front lines. But today, the wars, and you can see it especially with the missiles from Iran, the Operation Lionhead and the Iron Swords, that people were affected inside Israel. So we definitely had a big role in saving lives in the state of Israel. We're also the largest volunteering organization. Magen David Adom is based on volunteers from the age of 15 to grandparents. We have 34,000 amazing volunteers, female, Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, Muslims, Druze, Christians, everything's in Magen David Adom. It's a mirror that reflects the society. I find it fascinating because it's a place that brings people together for the main mission of saving lives. There is nothing that we cherish more than life, and we will do anything to save lives. If it's initiating a CPR, if it's teaching the public how to resuscitate people, if it's sending an ambulance to help deliver a baby, if it's doing blood drives so we can have enough blood to save people who need it at the hospital. We even have a human milk bank if it's collecting milk for premature babies. One of my favorite is the humanitarian projects that we're doing. And 2 examples of humanitarian projects that we do. Every festival, we send our volunteers to collect food and send it to the families that are not fortunate enough to celebrate the festivals because they don't have enough money. So we're also part of society, and we also have a very special project which is called the Wish Ambulance. Unfortunately, we also have terminal patients, and we want to fulfill their last wish. If it's being at the wedding of their great-grandson, if it's going for the one last time to see a movie, we have a team of volunteers with a special ambulance that make sure that they're comfortable, that they're not suffering, and maybe fulfilling the last wish ever. Because we're Israel's national EMS services, by law, that means that we have to make sure that whoever, wherever, when they will need an ambulance, we must always have the ability to send an ambulance, no matter which part you are in Israel. We cannot be in a place that someone will call and say, sorry, we cannot send an ambulance, and that means that we have to have a big enough fleet. Magen David Adom today has a fleet of over 1,800 ambulances all over the country. We have basic life support, advanced life supports. We have blood mobiles, buses, jeeps, helicopters, boats. We have 650 medicycles, 200 first response vehicles that we're putting around.
So I think something that I'm understanding now that I didn't understand before is how enormous the scope is, how enormous the mission is of the work that you're doing. And it makes me understand also that you were busy before October 7th. And I'm sure it has only gotten greater, the need, since October 7th. How did you respond? Did you have everything that you needed in terms of personnel, equipment to address October 7th and the things that came after?
It's a very interesting question, because how do you respond to evil?
Yeah.
And October 7th was evil. First time that we saw evil, we looked them in their eyes. I think that we are still coping with what happened. We all lost dear friends, family. It's difficult because we're all affected by October 7th in so many ways, from the family point of view, personal point of view, work point of view, our children point of view. We're still affected. So to tell you how we deal with that, that's a question that I think that history will be able to answer that. Even though I believe that we're strong and resilient in Israel, I am very proud that Magen David Adom, as an emergency organization, we do everything we can in order to prepare for extreme situations. We don't wait for them to happen. Sometimes it's very difficult to explain how much we have to invest, because people will explain, why are you doing that? They will never attack. This will never happen. And we keep saying this question, what if something happens? And therefore, we're investing, thanks to our great leadership, that not only have the ability to have a vision, but to turn the vision into reality. 2 small examples. A few months before October 7th, Magen David Adom did a very big drill, taking a few regions, making the regions work as if we're under attack, and working from bomb shelters and moving everything underground and initiating MCI protocols for almost 3 days. We brought the organization to a very intense situation in order to understand what are our weaknesses and what are our strengths, and to strengthen our strength and to deal with our weaknesses. Unfortunately, it came handy October 7th when we initiated the protocol. We did very fast because the organization was, I can't say prepared, because you can never be prepared to meet evil, but we were prepared to meet the needs. The second thing that happened is that a decade ago, Magen David Adom started building an underground blood facility. When you do something that has never been done anywhere else in the world, that raises a lot of questions. We decided that the blood should be a strategical asset for the state of Israel. Hasn't been done anywhere else in the world. And if you look at the war between Russia and Ukraine, you can see that they're targeting strategical assets, meaning that when you hit a strategical asset, the country will find it difficult to continue to function. So they will target electricity facilities, water plants, etc. And we said that blood should be a strategical asset for the state of Israel, not just for Magen David Adom. And we built an underground protected facility. So no matter what happens, not only is the blood protected, but we have the ability to grow up in production. And I don't think that there are many organizations that in times of disasters have the ability to actually grow up in production. The place is secured, the place is protected, the place is big, we have already the equipment. And when the government asked us to go up by 300% of production, that we have enough blood for all the people who might need it, Magen David Adom said, okay, no problem. And when October 7th broke out, coincidentally, October 9th, our underground blood facility was fully functioning because of the vision and the ability to turn that vision into reality. And I was very proud being part of an organization like that. Very sad that it has been put to a test.
So there's this kind of edge of you weren't expecting to need to be prepared, but the organization makes sure that it is prepared. It takes a lot of imagination, a lot of projection, a lot of future forecasting.
I don't know if it's imagination or understanding our role. Our mission is saving lives. And in order to save lives, you have to be prepared. We have a saying in Hebrew that if you don't cook the meal before Shabbat, you can't cook anymore. So if you didn't come prepared, there's not going to be any meal for you. Our core values of EMS organization is it's all about preparedness. Because when something happens, you have to respond. And if you weren't prepared in advance, the response won't be as good.
But I do want to highlight that Israel has led in this. You're saying that you were the first organization internationally to understand that blood banks are a strategic asset. And also, Israel was really, really well known internationally during COVID for how quickly they responded to the crisis and how quickly they were able to get vaccines to the population. So it really is remarkable work. And I think if people are only thinking of Magen David Adom as kind of responding to war and terror, they're not fully understanding all the things that you manage, which you've just explained really well. But there's a word that you used a couple of moments ago, resilience. And I want to kind of pivot to that right now because you are the director of what sounds like a really important and necessary program right now, the Emotional Resilience Program.
So I'm not a director.
What are you?
I'm a deputy director of International Relations Department.
Okay.
I'm a senior paramedic. Together with the management, we deal with the emotional resilience of the organization. As an organization, we are responsible for our well-being of our teams, not only the physical, but also the mental. And we want to make sure that the well-being is taken care of all the time because everyone who volunteers or works for Magen David Adom, they have to know that we have their backs.
Your way of coming to this kind of focus in your work, it's a very personal story, how you got interested in this concept of emotional resilience. Can you share a little bit about how this became an interest of yours?
What I like about the people of Magen David Adom, and this is what made me fall in love with the organization, is the compassion that we have. Compassion means that we are very sensitive to our patients. And being sensitive also means that we absorb what we see and we take back. And we wouldn't want our teams not to be sensitive. The sensitivity is the most important thing. I can share the stories that I went through, but as I know, everybody in this organization is affected in one way or another because we see everything and we see a lot. And we are called to people in the most intimate, darkest, fearful moments. And we share those moments together with these people. Once upon a time when we used to say that men don't cry, we understand that it's not true. And it's important to know that our reactions are normal reactions for an abnormal situation. And we have to embrace that. We understand how important it is to do the rebriefing and the debriefing after every event. We also understand that people from outside the organization, it's difficult for us to relate together with them because of the understanding of what we're going through. And this is why we are teaching our leadership, our teams, how to do the debriefing, because to open up from people on the outside, it's extremely difficult. For an example, when I resuscitate a baby that's just being born and I go back home, my wife, she's a very good friend of mine, but I don't think she can ever understand what I'm going through. On the other hand, when I speak about it with another colleague, I don't have to say a lot for them to understand what I'm going through.
The shared experience.
Right? And that is why it's very important that we believe that instead of doing outsourcing and bringing psychologists from the outside to do the debriefing, we invest a lot in doing the debriefing inside the organization and strengthening our teams and talking about, we have a whole method of how to do it. We have a psychiatrist who consults us and gives us the guidelines. And if people need more professional help, of course, we will send them. But our goal is to try to prevent as much as possible people that cannot cope. When I understood that on myself the first time was at the 2001, we were called to a bus explosion in Jerusalem, and I was second ambulance on the scene. I realized I'm not functioning properly at the event. I'm shouting and I can hear myself saying stuff that I understand that it's not me. It's like watching myself from the outside. I remember myself walking up to the paramedic and I told the paramedic, look, I'm not okay. And he told me that moment, don't worry, everything is okay. You're together with me. There is nothing to worry about. And I felt I could breathe and function again. And then when I got near the bus, so many patients lying around me and I froze. Instead of running to a patient and started saving their life, I just stood there and froze. And that paramedic walked inside the bus, checking a body after body to see if there was anyone alive. There was this young girl who had still pulse, even though she was unconscious. And he noticed me standing outside and not moving. And he said, Raphael, don't worry, you're together with me. Help me save this girl's life. And from that moment on, everything is dark. I don't remember anything around me, just me and the paramedic handing over through what used to be the window, this girl, and together we managed to save her life. And I know today that she's married with children. And for me to know that I'm not alone, that there's someone together with me at that moment only made it stronger how important it is for me to be there for other people. Sometimes we're not aware that we're affected. I remember that during the terror attacks in Jerusalem a decade ago, almost every week there was a terror attack and I responded to most of them. I remember myself waking up in the middle of the night, going to bed and then realizing I just got up and went and kissed each and every one of my kids. And then I realized that I'm affected and I realized that my whole family is affected from what I'm going through. And I said to my wife, wow, I'm actually affected. She said, yes.
She noticed.
We all feel it.
Yes.
It's just like dead people. Everybody knows they're dead except the dead person. You're the same. Everybody knows that you're affected. You're the last one to understand that. And I'm very lucky to have a very supportive family. And this is why I decided to dedicate a lot of energy so my colleagues will have that support. And I'm very lucky that our leadership sees that as one of the main and important roles of Magen David Adom. And not only taking care of the physical part, but also the mental heart. We invest a lot of money, invest a lot of time, invest a lot in educating our teams. And every time something happens, we make sure that people get all the support, even before they understand that they need support. If you feel bad and you have problems with functioning, you can't sleep, you can't cope, you see things, we're there for you and we'll help you out.
There's something I would like you to speak about a little bit more. You know, there's obviously everybody joins this organization because they want to save lives. But it sounds like in some of the most difficult moments of the work, you really function in intense friendship and kinship with each other. I mean, the paramedic saying to you, I'm here. The support that you need to give each other can sometimes carry you through a traumatic event. Is that accurate?
Yes, and it also has a huge advantage. I have a 16-year-old son who volunteers at Magen David Adom.
Yeah.
Every once a week we do a shift together and it strengthens our bond completely. My son's first CPR we did together. This is something that we shared together and I'm very happy that I was there in his first CPR. And I know that he can share everything with me and I get these text messages. Wow, I've been yesterday. What do you think we should have done or shouldn't have done? Or this is what we did. We saved the life together. Or this was devastating. We arrived to someone and this and that happened to them. And I really think it's strengthening the bond inside the family. And we bring it together to the Shabbat table dinner. And we talk about the values and how lucky we are to have these values in our family, that we have a supportive family. Not everybody unfortunately has a supportive family. And I'm happy that he sees the real world for what it is.
So this is something I actually want to talk a little bit more about. I have 3 much younger children. And one of the things that was really difficult for a lot of parents, not just me, after October 7th, is we didn't want them to live in this world. And now we have to watch them navigate the hardships of a really, really cruel world. Was it difficult for you as a parent to see your son face some of the harshest realities of the world we're in?
I haven't seen it the way that you just described. I saw that in a different way.
Yeah.
I thought that the young generation are the TikTok generation and they're very spoiled.
This is also true.
And
yes.
they're all the time on the phone. And I remember that when I used to use the phone and in my age and in my time. But after October 7th, I'm looking at the young generation with admiration. I really admired that generation. And I think that we have so much to learn from them. And I really salute them the way they choose to deal with the reality. And after October 7th, my son, once a week, volunteered at the field for all the people who had the field and didn't pick up the agriculture. He woke up at 4:30 in the morning. This is a kid who doesn't like waking up at school in the morning. And he woke up early and went with his friends and to help them out so they don't have to throw away everything that they grew up all over Israel. And going to hospitals to visit soldiers and make them happy, the wounded soldiers. Helping my wife prepare food for families that their husbands are in the reserves and not returning home for a lot of time. And to see that he has the stickers of the fallen people and remembering their story and what the sacrifice. And I don't know how many, I don't know if I know more than 20 names and their stories, and he knows all of them and all the names and all the stories, and they look up to them and they're willing to do so much for society. And I think this is a generation that will be an outstanding generation. If this is the future leadership, we're so lucky to have them as our future generation that's going to take a role. And I see that the way he volunteers in Magen David Adom, which I didn't think at the beginning he would want to volunteer, but they have so much they want to give back to society. And the reason that he's volunteering are much higher than the reason that I had. I was addicted to adrenaline when I was 15 years old. He's addicted to the compassion of doing something good for other people and being part of the society and giving back to the society and doing everything he can to make it a better world. And I salute that generation. And by the way, we had a huge debate at our organization. How young should the paramedics be? Because the paramedics are the leaders of our medical teams. And we had a debate whether the paramedics should be only people who have been for so many years, only then they should go out to become paramedics, or can we teach them already at young age? And
the age is 15 or was?
No, you can become a paramedic only at the age of 18.
Okay.
In Israel, you either go to the army to do the army service, or you do a national service, either you volunteer in hospitals or you go to Magen David. We have people do the national service, but instead of training them as medics, we started training them as paramedics. And we had a debate if maybe they're too young for such responsibilities. And October 7th proved us that these young people, especially female, when it came to the time of the test, their decisions were amazing. They saved so many lives. They managed to cope and deal with so much bravery and maturity. And we know today that we have to invest in the future, in that generation, not to be afraid. They're better than us. They're our future, and we should never be afraid to invest in them.
This idea that your son is addicted not to the adrenaline, but the compassion is such a beautiful way to think about it. But also these young people need the kind of support that you're talking about, the emotional resilience support. And what sounds really interesting about it to me is that it's very much peer-to-peer. Can you talk about the actual process? You talked about rebriefing and debriefing. What do those mean?
There are two situations that the head works. There is a cognitive and there's an emotional. And we want our teams to work for the first 88 hours in the cognitive mode. Because when you work in the cognitive mode, you understand that you can deal with the situation and you can get out of the cycle of feeling that you're not coping with the situation. And once you work in the cognitive mode, you take responsibility over the situation. And this is why the rebriefing on the way to the call is very important, because we would rebrief our teams on the way, for an example, to CPR. Everybody should know what their role is. Not, don't worry, it's going to be okay. But once we arrive to the patient, I want you to carry the medical kit. I want you to carry the oxygen. And if we have to do CPR, this is what you do. This is what you do. So when we arrive to a situation, everybody knows their exact role. They don't just stand aside and they're confused or mixed up. And at the end of the call, it's important that we speak to our teams. And sometimes people only saw part of the picture. Sometimes when someone has a piece missing, something doesn't add up. So it clicks together. They know that they're not alone, that we have their backs. We always end up in a positive way. We know that they did the best they can do in order to save that person's life. And if it wasn't for their actions, we don't know if it would be the same. This is when we can find out if people are raising any red flags.
What kind of red flags might you be watching for?
So usually people who can't sleep, or people who keep seeing visions again and again over, people who freeze, people who cannot continue to function. These would be red flags.
So, we are all pretty familiar with the concept of post-traumatic stress disorder. I think it's something that's in the conversation, especially since October 7th. You arrived at the scene of this bus bombing and you saw a lot of horrible things, but what you focus on when you tell the story is that you were able to save one girl, and now you know that she's married and that her life has continued. That attitude, thinking about who lived and how beautiful their life has turned out to be, makes me think of the reality that it's not just post-traumatic stress. Sometimes it's post-traumatic growth.
Most of the people are not suffering from PTSD. It's a very few people out of the whole situation that they're suffering and they need much more professional help. And of course, they get it. And sometimes they depend on medication in order to continue to function. But most of the people in our organization in Israel are not suffering from PTSDs.
I think that's
most of the Holocaust survivors are not surviving from PTSDs.
No, it's such an important thing to state, and it's a common misconception from people who aren't in it, right? That if you do this stuff, of course you have PTSD. You're saying that doesn't even...
No, and even though that I experienced what I experienced, I don't have PTSDs.
Mm-hmm. So the concept of post-traumatic growth, right? Like there's a trauma, people grow from it, right? They develop compassion. They have a feeling of real meaning and fulfillment and purpose because they're able to do something so meaningful for someone else. It sounds like after October 7th, it wasn't just individuals who had post-traumatic growth, but the organization had to grow and respond to this different world. How has the organization grown in the wake of the beginning of the war?
What's nice about the organization that ever since I remember this organization, we're all the time growing. Everything that we deal is extreme situations. If it's COVID, if it's terror attacks, if it's car accidents, if it's heart attacks, if it's medical emergencies, all we deal is about emergencies. And we believe in evolving all the time. If you don't evolve, you're left behind and you're irrelevant. And I want to give you an example. You have WhatsApp on your phone?
I do.
You can send pictures to me through your phone?
Yes.
How come we can't send WhatsApp pictures to 911?
I haven't thought of it.
I'll tell you why. Every organization, the bigger you are, the stronger you are, the more difficult it is for you to adapt to changes. And every organization has a group of people that we call them the why can't you do something people. We can't have WhatsApp because we have a tender and we cannot change our system for the next decade. We cannot have WhatsApp because of privacy issues. We cannot have WhatsApp because of cyber issues. Our leadership has decided to ignore the why can't you do something people. We have to have the ability to get picture. For us, a picture means 1,000 words. If I can see a picture, and all our dispatchers are paramedics, so they can already help you out when you call them. They can start helping you out and saving your life because they can identify your medical situation very fast, and they can start helping you treat and deal with that situation. We also have AI, who has speech-to-text in our systems. Integration, if everybody's using something, we have to use it. In Israel, everybody's using either Google Maps or Waze. So people are already pinpoint locations of traffic, of car accidents. We don't have to educate the public to do something special. They're already using it. We're educating ourselves. We integrated Waze and Google Maps inside our system. So when you pinpoint a location of a car accident, it will appear on our system. So it's all the time about growing, about evolving, and about being relevant for what goes around, because otherwise you're left behind. Today, a lot of people have defibrillators. So not only did we put defibrillators all over the country, we're monitoring private defibrillators, people who have defibrillators in condo buildings, in working places, in shopping centers. So when you call for help and someone is unconscious, we'll see in the system where's the nearest defibrillator and we will send you. So you don't have to wait 7 or 8 minutes for an ambulance to arrive. The same thing with EpiPen. We have people who are suffering from allergies. We will locate people with EpiPen so they can give their EpiPen and save their lives even before an ambulance will arrive. So it's all about evolving technology. It's evolving with our medical supplies that the American friends are helping us so much. For an example, now we're going to start putting inside our ambulances small ultrasound machines if people have internal bleeding because of trauma situations, so we can identify the source of the bleeding and alert the hospital. Our paramedics are all the time being trained with the newest protocols, with the newest equipment, with the newest vehicles, the best trained paramedics, with the best spirits of paramedics, of course, the best leadership and friends around the world. It's all the time, it's about evolving.
There's this word that I've heard sometimes, Israeliutes, like what makes Israel, Israel, right? And what you're describing, how quickly you have adapted, how you've incorporated the tech, how you understand how people are living their lives and giving them tools to live better lives. Well, now I really wish that I could send a picture to 911. That would be a really good development. I hope somebody is listening.
Just want to show you an example. A picture on WhatsApp. They had the sudden pain in their arm. So I asked them to send us the picture. And you can see by the picture that it's actually a snake bite.
It's a bite, yeah.
And once we realized that, we could already tell them, don't move, don't put ice. Send the picture to the hospital so they can try and prepare an antidote for a venom according to the location where that person is and what might likely be the snake in that area, so they can prepare the antidote.
It's incredible.
It is. It's an amazing organization.
I mean, this must be one of the things, though, that makes you proud to be Israeli. It's absolutely amazing what you're describing.
I'm proud of being Israeli. I'm proud of being a Jew. And I'm the most proud of being Magen David Adom, because we like to say that Magen David Adom is Israel. Helping Magen David Adom is helping the people in Israel. We're there for them all the time. It's in our blood. Saving lives matter.
Let's talk for a minute about Operation Rising Lion. How did that feel on the ground? What was that like for you? It was an unprecedented war in terms of the back and forth with Iran, and everything stopped. Society stopped in a way that it hadn't, right? A lot of people said it reminded them of COVID in that way. So what can you tell us about the experience of this 12-day war?
So these situations amplify who we are. If you're a bad person, it will amplify much more. If you're a good person, it will amplify, because this situation, this is when everything is come to a test and you see people for who they are. And at the moment of Rising Lion, I've never been so proud, just like Operation Iron Swords, to be part of Magen David Adom. To see how people are more than 100% in it, devoted for saving lives. And where everybody ran towards the bomb shelter, and it's frightening. Then you see the huge missile with the 400 kilos of explosives and even more on the way to Israel. People were running outside to the ambulance to saving lives. When there was a siren, instead of leaving the patient in the ambulance and lying down on the ground, our teams lay over the patients inside the ambulance. Other people's lives came before our own lives. And when there was a missile that hit a building, our teams were on ground, endangering their lives day and night in order to save other people's lives, while our families were left back at home. And even though we have a responsibility as parents, as families, to take care of them, together with our families, we're all devoted for the life-saving mission. Saving lives matter. We saw that during the Rising Lion, during Iron Swords, during October 7th, during COVID, during every situation, every day. We go from one event to another. We can start a shift, transporting a patient that needs to have an X-ray at the hospital, continue to a 70-year-old who collapsed and to initiate a CPR, to continue to a rocket that was shot from Hezbollah to the north, to see our friends and to salute for their heroism. We have a senior medic who lives in Majid al-Shams, who's a Druze. His name is Adam Safadi. When a rocket from Hezbollah hit the playground and murdered 12 children, his daughter Finis was one of the dead. And when he arrived to the scene, he covered her up, asked her forgiveness, and went to save other people's lives. We all want to be like these people that can put aside everything and, despite everything, to continue fighting and saving other people's lives.
That's such an incredible story. I think you said his name for a reason. We should all admire his heroism.
There's so many other people as well.
I'm sure, but it's a really powerful example. I'm inspired, and I would like to know, for me and for other people, how can we support your work from here? from abroad?
So first of all, your solidarity means the world for us. This is a huge beacon of light during these dark times. Every medical kit that we have on ground, every ambulance that takes our teams to the patient, every patient transported to the hospital, they're all done on vehicles and medical kits that are donated by our friends around the world, especially by the American friends who help us save lives by fundraising and making sure that we always have the best equipment in Israel. People deserve to be saved in the best and the most professional way.
I want to thank you. You have had a really whirlwind few days, and I know that you've even got more things that you're doing later today. I appreciate your time. I've learned so much, and I'm sure other people have as well. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to What Came After wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us online at whatcameafter.com.
אותו ירח מאיר מעלינו, מחבר אותנו גם בקצה עולם. אבק הדרך מתנער בינינו, נפש מחפשת את עצמה, מתגעגעת למקומה. בלב הנצח ובחסדי שמיים, ביקשתי בית לרוחי העייפה, ובאור הטוב שלך שמשתקף לי בעיניים, אני מוצאת אותי הכי הכי יפה. הנה הגיע היום, בואי בשלום, אהבת עולם, תהיי לי בנשמה, מבעד לשנים ופיתולי הזמן, עכשיו אני שייכת, עכשיו אני שלמה, עכשיו אני שלמה. וכמו הנס היום אני אחרת, לא סוערת, לא נודדת בתוכי, וגם בחשיכה שלך אני זוהרת, ויש מקום טהור לקשור בו סודות חיים. הנה הגיע היום, בואי בשלום, אהבת עולם, תהיי לי בנשמה, מבעד לשנים ופיתולי הזמן, עכשיו אני שייכת, עכשיו אני שלמה. אהבת עולם, תהיי לי בנשמה, מבעד לשנים ופיתולי הזמן, עכשיו אני שייכת, עכשיו אני שלמה.